welcome back to Mortals and Portals, a Pathfinder real play podcast. I'm your host and GM, Zach, and joining me at the table is Adam, and I play Tuck, two halflings sitting on top of each other's shoulders. And I'm Joel, and I play Dax, a kobold rogue. I'm Ryan, and I played Jib.
And I'm Taryn, and I play Maxie, an orc something.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, that was actually just Zach impersonating all of them because they're actually not here. Because if you remember in the last episode, I had to record an outro by myself because we weren't planning to end it, which means we didn't have an intro for part 4 of Dax's Origins. So that's me doing that right now because, again, it was just too much content, too much editing for us to just put into one episode. We had to give ourselves some grace and break it out a little bit. But yeah, just to recap what happened last time, Dax set out on this epic heist to get this ingot of corium, and before he did so, he had some time to reflect, and Meeg gave him the Frithator, this magical poison that he can use, kind of like cyanide that secret agents use and stuff like that, to evade torture and capture and things like that, because the Durga are known to do some pretty wicked things. And it was actually a odd act of compassion, all things considered, on Dracas for another kobold to think of another like that and help them out in that way. And basically the plan was that Dax would go into Drekheim with Jib strapped on him because he's the only one small enough to be on the paraglider with them, which ended up being Tuck's trench coat because, yeah, we found out Adam's hilarious and made 2 halflings in a trench coat as his character, which actually took me 2 episodes to figure out. We recorded part 1 and part 2, and then I was just laying in bed and I was like, what was all that weird stuff he was doing? Because I think Ryan got it right away, and I was like, well, what is it? And then it finally hit me. So yeah, that was good job, Adam. He always finds a creative way to put some weird inside joke with his throwaway characters. Yeah, really appreciate that. And yeah, I guess Ryan also was super funny, and his character sounded like a complete idiot because he was shoving things down his mouth, including a guitar, which he pulled out, and once he did so, he had a really cool country accent and said that he had a frog in his throat or something. And yeah, he sang a beautiful song. Also, cool fact about that song, this is normally downtime stuff for Patreon, but he just wrote that song just for fun, and he sent it to us. I was like, man, that's so cool. I really want that in one of our episodes somehow. We didn't really have a plan for it, but then that's kind of how Jib came to be, just to have this instrument to give him an excuse to sing it. Because I listened to it a few times and it had these cool somber vibes, and I was like, man, that'd be cool to just play while Dax is reflecting on why he's doing all this. So yeah, it worked out really well. But yeah, anyway, so then Meeg was going to take Maxie and Tuck and roll, apparently, in his chariot, which they had a chain attached to, and we're going to lower down into Drekheim to extract Dax once he had the ingot. So anyway, Dax goes underground. They immediately get attacked by some Durga that were guarding it because they fortified it once they saw Dax go down there in part 1 of his origins, and they killed Jib. Yeah, mostly because I just didn't want to hear Ryan coughing and croaking into the mic anymore. I was over it, so I killed him immediately. Felt great about it. And then Dax evaded these Durga, found the forge. Long story short, was able to extract the ingot, but was seen in the process and narrowly escaped up a heat vent and was pulled to the surface. And that is where we ended our session. So that is where we will start our session. So get ready for a sharp cut because, again, we weren't planning on doing that. And yeah, kicking it back over to the original episode audio. Enjoy. Dax, you're feeling the heat around you that is exhausting out of this vent. It's almost unbearable. You're just hoping to get out of here as fast as possible as you're being pulled from the depths of Drekheim to the surface of Dracas. And you're pulled out of the ground and onto the surface and slam onto the hard ground, expecting this momentum to stop, but realize you are being drugged still as the ground is cutting into your skin as you slide along it. Can you roll me a perception check?
Do it, Dax. Do it, Daxy boy.
That wasn't part of the plan.
It's not. 22.
Dax, as you're bouncing around, being spun, ragdolled, sliding through the ground, you're trying to get your bearings, and you look ahead and see the chariot with Meeg, Tuck, Roll, Maxie, barreling full speed ahead, not stopping since you've been brought to the surface, and you look to your left, And you look to your right, and you see the Voshek, also known as Sun
crap.
Riders, marauders of the surfaced wastelands. You know this violent tribe of mixed ancestries to be addicted to sun shards. They actually consume fragments of it, and it mutates their bodies. It gives them unnatural power. It even allows them to temporarily absorb Dracas' sunlight for a time, charging them just like it would a sun shard. It makes them not think straight, it just makes them insane. They're one of the last people in all of Caldora you'd ever want to interact with, and they're yipping and calling out to each other as they ride after Meeg, and they're atop their mechanical contraptions that are fueled by these sun shards, inefficiently consuming fragments of it, powering it like a vehicle. So you look over and see this like steampunk style contraption, all rickety, moving along the ground with blue electrical exhaust shooting out the backs, making progress towards Meeg. And then you look behind you and see an even larger contraption, slower, making its way towards you. And it looks like a tank of some sort with many Voshek on the deck of it, one steering it, and they're moving this cannon towards Meeg. They light the fuse. You see it take a while to make its way towards it, and then it fires out this blue beam that makes its way towards Meeg, and he steers the chariot just in time as it sails over his head and hits off in the distance, making this massive eruption, making a small mushroom cloud in the air, and they are cheering, yes, yeah, kill him. And you recall that Meeg said he had stolen their chariot and their shield, and they're no doubt out for vengeance. Can all of you roll me initiative? Except Jib. Sorry, Jib. You died to the Durga, bro.
Ryan doesn't get to play again.
Zach loves when it's not my turn.
Dude, he does, doesn't he?
That's a 24 for old Dax.
Hey, it's a 9.
I got a 3.
Tuck. Do I get a roll initiative for roll?
No.
It's worth a shot.
Dax, you get to act first. What do? You're being dragged along the ground, holding for dear life on this chain. You're flanked by what looks like steampunk motorcycles and a tank behind you, and there's what looks like almost cars up ahead chasing after Meeg.
Well, currently Dax is running off pure adrenaline right now and pure just survival. So, like any of us would, he is just going to start trying to climb this chain, so to speak, trying to make his way to the car so he can stop getting his skin torn off.
All right, roll me an athletics check.
It's a smart move.
That is a 9.
Dax, you're starting to climb, sort of making progress, and then just then a change in the terrain causes you to lift off the ground temporarily and then smack back into it, and then you slide back down the chain, losing all your momentum, coughing out the dirt, the dust, and you have failed to climb this chain in any meaningful way. What do you do with your second action?
I do it again. I gotta get up there.
Roll me 2 more if that's all you're going for. Let's do it.
That is all I'm going for. It's happening too fast to be creative. 19 and another 19.
All right, you get very determined. You grip the chain as tightly as you can, and you look up and notice that Maxie has been cranking the spool, trying to drag you in, help you along the way, making this chain shorter, because of course it was very long as it went all the way into the depths of Drekheim. So you are making some progress from that. That gives you a little bit of motivation, and you start climbing up the chain, being beaten by the ground, and you have maybe covered half of the distance as the chain continues to spool inward. You're starting to feel somewhat confident, as confident as you can in the situation, and then you hear, and you look to your left, and you see this pale-skinned human with glowing blue speckles on their face, all white pupils, a mutated, distorted-looking skin, looking at you, laughing maniacally, noticing what you're doing, and they sort of speed up, getting in front of you just a bit. They stick out their finger towards the chain, and you see electricity dancing around their body, and he fires a beam outwards at the chain that snaps it and sends you sliding backwards towards this tank behind you, and that'll take us to Tuck.
Oh no.
So he fell off the chain?
Yeah, the chain got shot in half, so now he's going backwards.
So Dax is off the chain, as they say.
It's off the chain, bro.
Good, Dax. Good. Very good.
I just have a sword, so in the chaos of everything happening around us, Tuck will be looking around to his right, to his left, but he'll start pulling on the chain, planning to bring Dax in, not really thinking about how light the chain is to bring in. And then he'll eventually reach the end of the chain and look at it and say, "Oh crap. Guys, we got a problem."
No kidding, I mean, they got a cannon. Meeg's just looking dead ahead, slapping the reins.
Dax is on the cannon.
What?
Yeah, he fell off the chain. He's on the cannon. Slow down.
Slow down, are you insane? Do you know what the Volshek will do to us? And that'll take us to another vehicle that is pulling up beside you with one driver and a passenger. And the passenger stands up and climbs onto the hood of this vehicle. It's this very creepy looking gnome.
I'm gonna do it. Well then go ahead, go, do it.
And the gnome starts to glow as the speckles on his skin illuminate, and he crouches down and jumps off the hood of the car, powered by this unnatural energy within him, and he lands on the chariot and looks to Maxie and is going to try and stab him with a dagger,
Not me.
and definitely hits
What?
as a dagger digs into your thigh and cuts down your calf.
Oh.
And that'll take us to Maxie.
Maxie will try and kick him.
All right, do it.
4.
Did you actually roll a 4?
I rolled a 4.
That's really funny. You just turn around blindly to kick, thinking it would be a taller creature that stabbed you, and just kick like clean over the head of the gnome. And then the gnome is gonna just punch you in the nuts as you do that.
Oh.
Ah, tiny.
So I want to pick him up and throw him.
All right, we'll just do like shove then. So
Okay.
roll me an athletics check.
Shove.
16.
Nice. He's jumping up and down, laughing after he just punched you, and then you sort of just clumsily stumble to the other side of the chariot and just grab the gnome as his head's tilted back, laughing. What? And you pick him up over your head, and then just throw him backwards. He goes, "Ah!" And then he lands on the ground and gets ran over by one of the motorcycles, and then the motorcycle just spins in the air and flies upwards and then hits the ground and explodes. Meeg just turns around.
No kidding. Not bad.
And that'll take us to the tank that is continuing to drive forward as they are loading the cannons, calling out commands on the deck, bringing it all the way towards Dax as he slides backwards. Dax, what do you do on your turn?
I guess, am I currently...
You're like on the ground, basically. Like you're still
Okay,
as
I've
it's coming
stopped.
towards you. As you're like, yeah.
Dax is going to take the remnants of this chain left in his hands and start swinging it around kind of like the grappling hook from before. And as the tank reaches Dax, he's going to release the chain from one hand, swinging it to wrap around the barrel and kind of fling himself up onto the tank as it's barreling at him.
Sick. Roll me an athletics check.
16.
So you throw the chain up over the barrel of the cannon, and then as the tank continues to move forward, it like pulls you towards it, and then you slide down the barrel, and the momentum kind of like lifts you into the air, and then you swing up and land on the deck of the tank, and all the Voshek stop what they're doing, confused, and look at you. Whoa,
I want to eat him. No, I want to eat him.
and they're pushing each other like,
No. I'm so hungry. He looks so delicious.
what do you do with your second action?
I will attempt to kick one of them in the chest, effectively using the shove action. Try to just kick one of them off the tank.
All right, roll a shove.
Ooh, heck yeah. 21.
Nice.
You sprint forward and drop kick one in the chest, and he
Nice.
flips over the rail and lands on the ground and gets his head ran over by one of the wheels. Shout out to Ryu from like episode 14 or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then you land on your back and almost like Black Widow, like kick yourself back up and then land on your feet, sort of crouched with your hood up.
What the heck? That was incredible. Now I really, really want to eat him.
And then for his final action, Dax will take a dagger from his chest holster and wing it at another one of the Voshek.
Oh, sick.
Here we go.
Get him, Daxy.
6.
You fling the dagger towards them, and the one that it's flying towards just pans his hand across his face, and it creates temporary electricity barrier in between the two of you, and it just crumbles the dagger.
Nice try.
And that'll take us to one of the motorcycles that is noticing this fight going up on the deck of the tank, and he starts laughing and clapping, driving with no hands.
Oh, throw him down here. Let me eat him. Oh, no, we're gonna eat him up here. Oh.
And that'll take us to Tuck.
Come on, Tuck.
So Tuck will turn to Meeg.
Meeg, just please, just slow down for just a second, okay?
If we slow down, we die.
Nah,
Dax will be
we
fine.
won't die.
I've seen him get out of. Well, I haven't seen him get out of anything this bad, but if anyone could do it, it's Dax.
How's he gonna get off that thing?
I don't know. Just I'll gonna keep moving and trust him.
Ugh, have it your way then. Roll, grab me the chain.
He does not respond because he's mute, apparently.
He does not. Roll, grab, tuck the chain. Tuck will start to tie the chain around his waist and sit off the end of the cart. And he'll turn to Roll and he'll say,
If something happens, tell Ma that I love her.
and then he'll just hoist his butt off the end and kind of ride his butt
All right.
towards the tank.
No. Can you roll me an athletics check?
It's a nat one.
You scoot off the edge of the cart and instantly just bang your shoulder on the ground and sort of start getting tangled up in this chain as it tightly wraps around you and like constricts you and just slaps you against the ground, breaking every bone in your body until it just drags this like meat sack behind the cart until the chain unravels and there's just blood and guts everywhere as the cart continues forward.
Roll just looking off the back of the car, watching his brother just obliterate himself. He just shakes his head and he says,
Holy pumpernickel.
What the? He does talk. Oh my gosh!
Meek just looks back and just sees like the mangled corpse like in the distance as it gets ran over by all the vehicles.
I just choose not to.
Now we know why.
You do sound weird. All right, and then also because like you can't have two characters, one of the cars just like rolls up, and then the guy sticks out his finger and just shoots a beam straight through Roll's head, and his head explodes, and then he falls off the back of the cart, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
you know what they should have done?
What?
Tuck and roll.
Yeah, they should have tucked and rolled.
Shoulda.
Yeah.
Coulda. Woulda. But this is an Origins.
And that takes us to Maxie.
All right. What all do I see around me?
Well, you just
Re-explain everything.
Yeah, you just slowly observed Tuck like basically do like the most worthless sacrifice ever, and then Roll
But
just
he-
got shot right in front of you.
Max will be like, oh no, Tuck. And I'll go to start pulling the chain up.
He's gone, buddy. What are you doing?
Oh, and I'll keep pulling the chain.
You pull the chain up, and there's just like kind of like an arm remaining on it.
Jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tuck.
And that'll take us to the tank. Dax, as you're fighting these Voshek, you see the one driving it yell out,
Some of you can eat him, but some of you need to load the cannon. We need to blow up that chariot. He took our shield. He took our shield. Oh yeah. He took our shield. Yeah, okay.
and then they just go up to the cannon, and you see one of them release this lever on the cannon, and then it can freely spin, and they turn it all the way back around, pointing at the driver, and then start to load a new cannonball of sorts into it. But you notice that this cannonball looks like a massive sun shard that was like chipped at crudely to make it more spherical. As they load shards in there as like powder, and then they start to stuff it down the cannon.
Oh, jeez.
And it's this whole crew working on it while some of them are surrounding you. And then they turn the cannon back around and start to light the fuse. And that'll take us to Dax.
Come on, Dax.
You got this, buddy. Don't try the chain thing. If I could recommend something, I don't want to be too meta, but it's a difficult roll.
Don't let him kill Maxie. I already got a dagger in my shin.
Seeing their reloading procedure gives Dax an idea.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he clocks the barrel of the gun. Does he see his chain still hanging there that he got on this thing with? Is it
Yeah,
still
your chain's
wrapped
sort
around
of just hanging from the tip of the barrel.
it? Okay. Dax is going to take off in a sprint and leap off the front of this tank, grab the chain, and attempt to swing back around the other direction to
Nice.
Hell yeah.
point this right back at the driver like it was when they loaded it.
Okay, roll me an athletics check.
Hot dice, hot dice.
Sick idea.
Come on,
cool,
baby.
Dude. This is real cool if I've ever heard it.
21.
Yes, Daxie.
Sick. I'm just gonna say you tumbled through just because, even though that's an action, it sounds so cool. You just sprint up and slide under the feet. What? Whoa, wait, no, how are we gonna eat him? And then you jump off the ledge of the tank, grab onto the chain, and your momentum carries you around as the barrel spins back towards the driver.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait, no, he already lit it. Put the fuse out.
And you land back on the deck. What do you do with your third and final action?
Turning his head side to side, Dax will see one of the motorcycles from earlier that the Voshek's on and take a running leap off the side of this tank.
Oh my goodness. All right, this one's
Amazing.
acrobatics, dude. You're gonna have to have good balance for this.
Oh yeah.
Although, like,
Come on,
rules
Dexy.
lawyer, like, rule of cool haters are, like, rolling right now. They're like,
I know, they hate
it's
what's
too
going on
sick,
here.
dude.
This is like 14 turns worth of actions you're doing.
No. One to run, one to jump and grab the chain. I gave you the momentum, you know. And then the third action is jumping. We're doing it.
You said acrobatics?
Yeah.
23.
You sort of crack a grin as you're seeing all of them freak out. They're like almost trying to put the fuse out, like, oh, no. And then you just run and jump off the side, and the one that was on the motorcycle is like, oh, he wants me to eat him. And you land on the back of his motorcycle as the flame runs up the fuse, and the tank explodes with friendly fire, sending a ripple. The motorcycle wanes back and forth a bit as the clapping Voshek now puts his hands back on the handlebars, like, whoa. And all of you up on the chariot just see this tank explode as a badass Dax is on the back of the motorcycle.
That's like some Indiana Jones stuff.
Right? And that'll take us to the motorcycle. He's gonna try and shove you off, Dax, like,
You're making me lose my balance.
and
No,
he's gonna
that's
just try and throw an elbow back at you.
Right, I get it. I would do that too.
And definitely doesn't roll well enough to shove you off. You just duck as the elbow swings over your head, and then his motorcycle starts to wobble back and forth, like,
Oh, you're so lucky I'm driving this.
and he is just going to pick up speed and speed forward, and then try and pop a wheelie to get you to fall off the back. Can you roll me a reflex save?
You got it, Dax. Come on.
You got this.
Reflexes, Daxie.
Fortunately, my reflex save is +9, so that is a 26.
Okay.
All right, he
Dang.
veers back, and you start to slide off the seat, but then you just dig your claws into his back. He's shirtless, all bony, and your claws shred down his back. He goes,
Oh, that hurts.
and then his wheels slam back on the ground. He goes,
Oh, you're gonna taste so good. You're gonna taste so good.
This makes sense why Dax was so good at riding that horse in episode,
it does.
whatever it was.
Where he clocked you with some medicine.
Yeah, but the horse riding was fantastic, though. This is true.
and as the wheels slam back on the ground, you all hear this loud rumble in the distance that makes even the Voshek stop for a moment as the ground begins to quake, even noticing it between their rumbling contraptions that are driving along the hard ground. Dax, the Voshek in front of you, slowly turns his head over his shoulder, looking past you even, almost like he doesn't even care that you're there, and you follow his gaze backwards towards the volcano, Eveth, as the ground trembles beneath your feet, and you think back to when you were in Drekheim in the depths of the volcano of Eveth, and you saw its bubbling lava felt a lot more active than usual, and you think now, connecting the dots of how Corium can only be made at certain times and under intense heat, and you realize now that it can only be made directly before an eruption of Mount Eveth. And the Voshek just looks at you and says,
We gotta go.
and he just throttles the motorcycle and starts to race forward. Neeg looking back, noticing the same thing. This just got a whole lot worse. And as he says that, you guys know what's coming? Eveth hot. Is it magma once it's outside of the volcano or lava? I can't remember. Lava. Shoots lava into the air, creating this massive explosion. Electricity fills the sky as dark clouds begin to form of ash and smoke, and rubble flies through the air, smashing into the ground, exploding some of the Voshek's vehicles as debris rains down. Everyone's weaving through it, trying to navigate these dark, smoky clouds from the craters being formed in the earth. And that'll take us to Maxie. Maxie, can you roll me a perception check?
14.
Maxie, I just picture you with like your mouth like wide open watching this massive explosion and all this debris fly through the air and just smash all these cars around you. And you look up and see a very large chunk of debris coming at you like a meteor. And Neeg has his eyes set dead ahead, slapping the reins, trying to make haste, but you feel it's on a direct path to hitting you.
What?
And Maxie will just point.
He follows your finger, sees it coming right at him, feels like it's even larger than the chariot, and there's no way they can avoid it. Like, we gotta bail! And he doesn't even say anything else to you, doesn't tell you like what his plan is, and he just jumps off the chariot and lands on the car next to you, the one that the gnome jumped off of, and his feet are dragging as he hangs on by the top of the frame, and he's trying to climb back up. What do?
Maxie will look down at the arm that he has of Tuck and just use it to salute as he stares at the coming rock.
So you guys have fully embraced your NPC roles here. You're saluting with
time
the
is
I feel like
flapping
they all need to die
arm
just in the
is
most
done.
of
ridiculous
Tuck
ways.
as you look at this giant Armageddon meteor coming towards you, and it hits the chariot and explodes, incinerating our friend Maxie, destroying the chariot in this vicious explosion.
It was a good run.
You had a good run, man. Yeah, you
survived
accomplished
the
a lot.
longest
You did throw
Yeah,
a
he
gnome
did.
into a vehicle. That was
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right.
And at least mine wasn't killed first. Sorry, Ryan.
I probably deserved it.
And that'll take us to Dax. Dax, you're on the back of this motorcycle. The Voshek is trying to race forward. You look over your shoulder and see the pyroclastic flow from this eruption barreling towards you. Can you roll me a perception check?
Yeah, but not before I commend you on that word choice.
Pyroclastic flow, bro.
Yeah, is that a word? Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Like
Pyroclastic
Portuguese?
flow is like all the debris that comes from the eruption. It's incredibly hot and moves at an insanely fast pace.
You would know that.
Wow.
Sorry, what am I rolling?
Perception.
21.
Dax, as you notice this pyroclastic flow barreling towards you, you know there's really no way you can outrun one. It's just so fast and so hot and is going to incinerate you. And you look forward and can see off in the distance some rocks, some mountainous-like terrain, some hills, and you feel maybe your only hope is to race there and get behind it. And then also up ahead, you see Meeg hanging on to a car, just flailing in the air. What do you do? You're also not in control of this motorcycle. It's one of the Voshek.
Dax is going to pull out one of his remaining daggers, and like you listeners will know, happens in the future, but just like Clag, he's going to calmly put it in the Voshek's neck. And
Okay.
as the Voshek falls off the side, just keep his hand on the dagger and pull it back.
All right, roll me an attack roll.
18.
Dax, the Voshek is like,
All right, the only way we're gonna get out of this is together. And then I'm gonna eat you. But for now, we gotta.
and then you just stick a dagger in his throat and rip it out, and he goes, and then rip it backwards as blood pours out of his neck, and he goes,
I bet you were so tasty.
and he falls off the side, hits the ground, and just ragdolls behind you. And can you roll me a reflex save?
Yes. 17.
The bike begins to wobble side to side, and you scoot forward quickly and grab both handles and stabilize it.
Yes, Daxie.
Ooh. What do you do with your remaining 2 actions?
Turning his attention to Meeg, he is going to steer the motorcycle in that direction and give it everything it's got. Try to catch up.
All right.
Dax, at this point, can't stand to see what he considers a friend to be in danger and just move on. You know, Dax isn't like the other kobolds here, so he's gonna have to go save him, or try anyway.
You give this motorcycle full throttle and barrel towards Meeg, and you notice all of the other Voshek are kind of not concerned with you anymore. They're all sort of doing their own thing as debris rains down and explodes, destroying some of the vehicles. Some of them just veer off entirely and try and go a different way. It's kind of turning into a free-for-all, and after some time, sort of out of combat in a way, you race up and get behind the car with Meeg on it.
I'm gonna try to get up beside him and lean over, put my hand out. Meeg, grab on.
Oh, Dex, did you get it?
I got it, buddy.
All right. Oh, wait, hold on. Give me a second.
And he reaches into the car, and you see him pull a pin out of something and then throw it to the side, and one of the Voshek goes,
Oh, wait, that was my grenade.
and then he jumps off the car and lands on the bike with you, and this car just explodes next to you. And he goes,
Dude,
You couldn't get all the takedowns. That's all what you did with that tank.
that's pretty slick, huh?
Yeah, what's the plan, though? There's a pyroclastic flow. Everybody knows that word.
Well,
Yeah, I
obviously,
know that
pyroclastic flow.
Yeah, the pyroclastic flow.
I think we gotta hide from the pyroclastic flow over here.
Okay.
And Dax is going to try to drive them to a little bit safer location behind some of those rocks that you had mentioned.
You throttle the bike once again, race towards some rock formations as the pyroclastic flow barrels towards you, this hot ash electricity dancing within it, incinerating all the vehicles left behind as it blankets over it, and you slide your bike drifting behind one of the rock formations as this gray, dark, ashy electrical cloud barrels over the rock, flies past you, and after a hectic few moments has surpassed you as you see it racing forward, still in this hazy ash as you're coughing.
Oh, man.
And you just see this scorched battlefield, all these destroyed vehicles up ahead. But all the Voshek have dispersed. They're either racing away, destroyed, doing their own thing. And you know you have somehow survived, under the protection of a backstory, have survived an incredible feat.
Dax will put his hand on Meg's shoulder. I can't believe we made it out of that.
Yeah.
And he'll kind of clutch the bag with the ingot in it.
Man, I've seen you do some cool things, Dax, but nothing tops that.
And he puts his hand on your shoulder and almost cracks a smile for a moment, nearly matching that enthusiasm you guys had when you barely made it out of that river the first time you went into the depths near Drekheim.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm growing on you, Meg.
Yeah, well, not that it matters. You're leaving soon. Speaking of which, let's make it to that node.
You know you can come with me, right? You don't have to stay here.
And he gestures out into this smoldering battlefield and says,
And miss all this? Hey, you might want to hang out in taverns and listen to flutes and whatnot, but this is the life for me, Dax.
Man.
I can respect that, Meeg. Let's get out of here.
Deal. And, glad you didn't have to use that frittator.
You and me both.
Alright, let's go.
and you throttle the bike and make your way towards the node, knowing you don't have much time. And after a while, racing through the wastelands, you skid the bike to a stop at a node. You've passed these before, maybe glanced at them, but it's not really somewhere you want to hang out because it does draw the attention of travelers, almost a watering hole of sorts, and that's typically the type of thing you want to avoid. So you're getting your first close-up look at it, and you see this circular stone platform on the ground etched in runes, and you see a few dead bodies around the node. You see Zig sitting on the lip of this platform, picking his fingers with a dagger, wiping some blood off of it, and says,
We had specific instructions, you see. Only we could go through the node. I can't remember if I sounded like this in episode 2, but I realized I sounded a lot like Meeg, so I'm kind of adding some graveliness to it because we're all in the same scene right now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Like, I'm Meeg. Yeah, and I'm Zig. And I don't sound like Dax either.
If you say so.
Shut up, Ryan.
I'm not here.
fourth wall destroyed.
Did you get it?
Zig stands up, brushing off his pants.
Dax pats the bag he's got it in. Yeah, we got it.
Good, and what happened to the rest of your goons?
The luck could only go so far.
Yeah, I'll say, did you guys see that pyroclastic flow?
You know, as a matter of fact, I did.
That was crazy. Yveth, wow. I mean, I knew it'd erupt, but I figured you wouldn't take the job if I told you that.
And as he says that, he takes a swig from the water skin he stole from you a few rotations back.
You're a real piece of work, Zig. Am I gonna get out of here or what?
Yeah, hand me the corium. Let me make sure you did the job you said you did. And, we'll step on this node here.
Dax pulls out the corium, unwraps it. A deal's a deal. And steps onto the node, looking back at Meeg. After a moment of just looking at him, I'll miss you, brother.
You see Meeg thinking, like he's about to say something cheeky or tell you not to talk like that, and he just looks up at you and says,
Of all the people on Dracas, I hated you the least.
and he gives you a wink.
Oh, that's adorable. You made a friend. Wow. Beautiful. Anyway, hand it over, Dax.
Dax will hand Zig the corium.
Uh-oh.
You hand him the corium, tilts it side to side.
Man, a lot of trouble for this, huh?
I'll say.
Well, it should be any minute.
And he looks down at the node, and then the runes start to glow.
Right on cue.
Meeg sits down on a rock nearby, kind of like he's taking a breather, but also you would assume he maybe just wants to see what happens when a node aligns and is observing it. You see him kind of rotating his arm, messing with his shoulder after all you guys have been through, giving you an assuring nod.
As this node starts to light up and what is obviously the whole process of this node aligning happens, Dax is thinking after all this, he finally starting to have a friend in Meeg. The job finally happens where he can leave, and he is not second guessing leaving, but definitely not as clear of a decision as it was before. You know, it's easy to make those decisions when the choice seems impossible. But now that it's finally here, he's starting to feel a little anxious about it. But as he thinks on it, he knows this is what he wants, and he's getting really excited as this starts growing closer. And a look to Meeg one final time, give him a little nod. Take care of yourself.
If you ever come back, you know where to find.
And then Meeg's eyes grow wide, and you hear the sound of a blade coming out of its sheath behind you, and then Meeg whips out his dagger and throws it just over your shoulder, and you hear it stab into Zig just as he was swiping down at your shoulder and misses you. Can you roll me initiative?
What?
Uh-oh.
Wait, so Zig was unloyal?
You're telling me that this guy was a sleazeball?
You rolled a 10?
13.
Meeg, acting first, threw his dagger for his first attack and starts to sprint towards the node, closing the distance on you. And that brings us to Zig.
Ah, dang, Meeg. All right. 2 on 1, no problem.
And he looks at you, Dax, and says,
Look, no hard feelings. I have specific instructions, and you just know too much.
and he is going to swing his dagger at you, and definitely hits.
Uh-oh.
And digs the dagger into your chest, tearing downward, dealing 5 damage.
Oh my gosh.
And then is going to attempt to push you off the node. And definitely fails, so you stumble backwards, holding your shoulder, seeing him running at you as he sort of tries a jump kick, and you sidestep it as he kicks into the air and lands on the node once again. And that'll take us to you.
Oh, Zig, a deal's a deal. Dax
I already made a deal.
will
Dax.
try to shove him back, I guess. 17.
Was that a push you were rolling?
Yeah.
You successfully push Zig as he stumbles backwards further towards the edge of the node, but you guys are placed in the center and he has a way to go before he's off of it.
Sure.
Oh, got some fight in ya. Makes sense.
Dax is gonna pull out his dagger and, I guess, attack Zig back, try to defend himself.
Except you can't, because you pushed him 5 feet away, you pulled out a dagger, and then you need to step to close the distance, my man.
Fair enough. So I guess I
You
just
could
take
pull out
the
your dagger and close the distance. Look, I know the rules sometimes.
Then I guess I just pull out the dagger, and I'm not gonna close the distance. I'm gonna make him use one of his actions to close the distance.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait.
All right, and that'll take us to Meeg, who runs up onto the node, now behind Zig, and he's going to attempt to grapple Zig, keeping him away from you.
My buddy Dax is leaving Dracas.
And he's going to try and wrap his arms around Zig.
Aww.
And he succeeds as he gains a firm hold on Zig. And you notice that Zig seems to have taken like a ready action in a way. Like he's more just concerned about keeping Zig where he is and monitoring this situation. And that'll take us to Zig, who is struggling, looking at Dax, looking at Meeg, eyes darting back and forth like,
You guys are making this way more dramatic than you need to.
and he reaches into his pouch, slipping one of his hands free as Zig continues to hold on to him, and pulls out, Dax, what you would recognize as a sun shard grenade.
Uh-oh.
You guys want to play a game of chicken?
And he pulls the pin and just holds onto the grenade. And Meeg's eyes grow wide and then looks at you, Dax, somewhat confused, maybe desperation in his eyes, and says,
I'm going to be the only one on this node. Understand?
and that'll take us to Dax. And the runes on the node begin to glow brighter. You can feel energy resonating from it. What do you do?
Dax, understanding the weight of the situation with that sunshard grenade, I mean, escaping Dracas isn't worth potentially him and definitely Meeg's life. So Dax will look at Zig with his hands up. Zig, it's not worth this, but we had a deal. And Dax will start backing up off the node.
So you step off of the node, Meeg looking concerned, Zig holding the grenade, and says,
Technically, Dax, I had a deal before we had a deal, and I'm a little bit more scared of that guy than I am of you. No offense. And, I lied.
and he throws the grenade at you, Dax, as Meeg's eyes grow wide, and then he looks to Meeg and says,
And I'll kill you on the other side.
and he goes to grab onto Meeg. Dax, can you roll me a fortitude save?
That is an 11.
The grenade bounces off the node as it illuminates, and a beam fires upwards into the depths of space. And you look down at the grenade, dive out of the way as it explodes. And you guys know how origins go, just like Jules. And darkness overtakes you. And sometime later, you blink yourself awake in a lot of pain, rolling in the dirt, crawling to a knee, slowly standing on your feet. And you look at the node and do not see Meeg or Zig. You sort of wander in a haze, your head pounding, falling every now and then, not knowing where to go. And you look towards the horizon and see the familiar glow of Dracas' sun, the one sight that brings you more fear than anything on Dracas. You are filled with urgency, but your body cannot seem to reciprocate that as you continue to stumble, not knowing where to go, maybe looking for some opening to the Underdark, falling again. And then as you fall, you see cobalt feet before you and slowly look up, thinking you see Meeg, blink again and see yourself standing there.
Meg? Wait.
This replica of you, whatever it is, tilts its head, almost shrugging, and then points to the horizon. You follow in that direction, see the glow of the impending sun once again as it starts to spill on the horizon, your heart starting to pound, light creeping towards you.
No, not again.
And look back to the replica.
Dax will look around kind of frantically.
What do you want me to do?
The replica furrows its brow and points back to the node, and you follow it and see it glowing once again. Look back to the replica for some kind of information, explanation, and realize it is gone as the sun is spilling over the landscape of Dracas.
I sprint.
Smart move. You sprint, stumbling as you go, trying to regain your balance, control over your body, making your way towards this node, knowing you're moments from being incinerated by the scorching sun of Dracas. Stumble onto the node, looking back towards the fast approaching sun. Maybe one last look at Dracas.
Almost, Droga.
And the runes illuminate and light flashes upwards, and you feel like you are ripped trillions of miles in an instant as you race across the space through the system of Keldora, and your mind is flooded with the vision of a circular stone doorway bearing the sigil of an encircled star, and hear a chorus of several voices say, Unra Tantum. And suddenly, you are in a completely new environment, standing atop a node as the light retracts from it, and you look up and see a sun bearing down on you as your heart pounds.
Dax is going to dive for shade. He doesn't want to get hit by the sun.
Dax, you quickly dive off the node, rolling through grass up against a tree under the shade of leaves and branches, and suddenly piece together that you're not on Dracas, and this sun means you no harm, and for the first time you could stand in this sunlight.
The unfamiliar feeling of the cool leaves against his legs is such an unusual feeling. And the sun, even more than just surprising, is blinding. You know, that's why his eyes are white. He's used to having to see in the dark pretty much his whole life. So it's like when you go out on a sunny day and there's fresh snow on the ground, it's absolutely blinding to him. It's going to take a while for his eyes to adjust. But despite that, he's going to sit with his back against a tree and kind of take in his surroundings, just catch his breath for a minute, reflect on everything that just happened. It's been a wild few minutes, or however long it is. I guess he doesn't know how long he was out.
So Dax, you spent some time just soaking in this environment, just sitting on this tree, looking at how green it is, how bright it is, breathing in fresh air, enjoying the sunlight, letting your eyes acclimate. And you spend a couple days navigating this wilderness, maybe not moving as fast as you should, certainly not as effectively as you could, kind of enjoying it in a way, catching a rabbit or two for food. You know how to survive and adapt to cruel environments, and this is certainly not that, and you're enjoying your time in a way. Reflecting back on Meeg, everything you've been through, but there's this playfulness, this happiness in you that's starting to stir as you begin to mirror the environment you're in. You lean up against a tree, just reflecting on everything, picking your fingers with your dagger, and you soon hear the sounds of a rickety wagon rolling down a path, down a decline. And you scurry down the decline and observe a wagon being driven by a short, gaunt man with big, hairy feet, wearing green overalls with no shirt underneath and a straw hat, whistling to himself.
Dax is going to catch up to this cart and crawl into the back of it, lay down among the apple sacks in the back, and take a second to observe the tune that this halfling is whistling. And after he figures it out, I'll start whistling along with him.
The man turns around. Hello. How are you doing, sir?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for the ride. Where are we headed?
And that is where we'll end our session.
Dax been through
We did it.
a lot, boy.
We figured
Holy
out how you met with
pumpernickel.
Bigsby. And guys, I'm pretty sure I heard Adam say something. I may have even heard Ryan say
I did
something.
say something.
I think I heard
Can I say
Terrence
it
I
say
would
again?
love to interject here.
yeah,
if I
go
may.
ahead, Adam. You can say it again. Oh wait, psych! No,
Okay,
you
I'd
can't
just
because
like
you
to
need to
say-
shut up because we're going to save that for the downtime where we react to the most recent episode on Patreon. Yeah, hey guys, thanks for joining us. Also, keep forgetting to say this. Check us out on YouTube. We're gonna start releasing some videos and just talk about tabletop RPG related stuff. So if you've just been listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, don't follow us on YouTube. You should check that out. Watch the video, give it a like, comment. Help us with the algorithm, all that stuff. I don't know how many videos we'll have out by the time that this episode's been released, but should have at least one, and we'll try and get better at them. Don't judge us too hard. It's a new experience.
Why'd you call me out?
all Adam's
we all
art in
should
it is
try.
perfect. I'm talking about me. And I just moved into a new
you said
office,
get
so I
better,
have
Adam. As a
nothing
joke.
up in
I
my
got you,
office. So
Adam.
it's the blandest background ever. We're working on that stuff. We're just trying to expand the content we make and all that stuff. So we'd really appreciate it if you checked that out, commented, liked, all that stuff. And yeah, as per new tradition, we just want to read comments, reviews, things we see online, just to let you know that we see them and that we appreciate it. So one thing I love is whenever someone posts on Reddit and asks for podcast recommendations, and it just totally warms our heart when you guys swoop in and tell them about Mortals and Portals, because we always see a little bump in listenership on those days. Because people are checking us out, because other people are vouching for us, because obviously we could hop on that post and say, hey, I'm in a podcast, you should check it out, but no one wants to hear from the person who makes the
That's
podcast.
lame.
They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I bet you like it. So hearing from other listeners and giving really meaningful praise and vouching for it really helps us out. So I just want to read a couple comments from that thread. There was a lot of them, and I really appreciate it. I try and respond to some of them, but I also don't want to be that creepy dude that sees every comment and responds to every single one. And then, because for all I know, maybe you guys would comment less. I don't want to comment because then weird Zach guy is gonna come react to it. But I really appreciate it. So I like doing that. So yeah, someone posted, what are some great Prophet Fab 2e actual play podcasts? One person commented, Mortals and Portals has great pacing. They're in a break right now, so it'll be easy to catch up. There's around 35 episodes to watch, each about 40 minutes long, and they're a great group, to the point that I subscribe to their Patreon. Thanks, man. I think this is Local Goose, and I love Local Goose. If it's not Local Goose that commented, I'm sorry. I love all the patrons, but love Local
Whoever it
Goose.
is.
That guy's awesome.
Whoever it is, get the goat.
He tried to kill me in Among Us.
Yeah, yeah. We all tried to kill everyone in Among Us. Yeah, we played Among Us with our patrons, so if you want to
did.
play Among Us with us, maybe,
But
yeah.
people
become a patron.
especially wanted to kill me.
And we also record, we try to record all of our live streams that we do for patrons, so you can join and see old ones too. So yeah. And another person commented, can't recommend Mortals and Portals enough. They're hilarious, and with the series I'm currently watching, clearly learning. Oh, hey guys, we have the capacity to learn. I'm so proud of us. They said, makes for a great distraction while working or otherwise breaking the silence. Yeah, silence is the worst. Happy to break it for you, bro. Someone said, I'd like to mention Mortals and Portals for their high production value and humor. It is set in a homebrew world, which brings something new for the listener to discover as well. Having gotten all caught up with Find the Path and Tabletop Gold, really appreciated that.
Wait, we're funny?
Yeah, sometimes we're funny. I mean, we try
Some of us are.
really hard, so
I think
hope
it's
so.
just
Most of
you,
us.
Adam.
Another
Most
person
of us are
commented,
funny. It's
Mortals and
definitely not me.
Portals on Spotify.
That's for
Their
sure.
voice work is awesome. They do their own music, art, and sound effects. It strikes a great balance between comedy and real gut punch dramatic moments. I love that one because that's something we really try to do is have those funny moments and play like any other table, but then also get serious when it serves the narrative and it's important because we don't want to undercut that. And I want to read these ones because I'm the GM and they made me really happy. Someone said, to further the point, they are also running homebrew rather than AP. I can't even begin to describe how much of a unicorn this show is when it comes to 2E actual plays. And then someone said, the setting they came up with is incredible. They've made interplanetary conflict still feel like a fantasy game instead of a sci-fi hybrid. And I love that one because I tried really hard to do that because I wanted to intermix those elements, but I didn't want to transcend a fantasy setting. And Ryan's showing his butt to the camera right now, so I think I need to wrap this up. Yeah.
That's the sign.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much for doing that. Anytime someone posts that, it means so much when you guys vouch for us, and it really helps us out. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time, mortals.
Dax
I already made a deal.
will
Dax.
try to shove him back, I guess.
Maxie comes back to life and comes to save Dax.
No, Tontu does. From the other
Tontu-
dimension, the pocket dimension he was in.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Dax. I will awaken soon and I will help.
Dax, this guy's not even the real Zig. He's not your real friend or anything. He's meaningless. Let's just kill him.
And his wife is ugly.